Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode number 200, and it is 2024. So with that, oh my God, I sound like that guy on those annoying reels. And with that, if I hear one more of those, I'm going to explode. And with that, the 2023 season has come to an end. Like, all right, we get it. Enough. Anyway, it is 2024. And what better way to kick off the new year than to start with a New Year's themed episode? So in this episode today, I'm gonna just be sharing some dirt with y'all about what I've been up to the past couple weeks in the holiday season and what's coming up, thoughts about new year, goal setting, resolutions, plans, all of that kind of stuff. And we're just gonna get it started. So I am actually recording today in real time, meaning that I'm recording the same day that the episode will be published. One of my goals is to get out of the habit of doing that as much and to be kind of a week ahead of things. That's neither here nor there. My reason for saying that is probably just like you, I am also getting back in the swing of things. Today is January 2nd. We are all just like coming out of this fog of Christmas break. Everybody makes the jokes about the week between Christmas and New Year's. Like no one really knows what day it is. Like it's just like you're in this vortex of Christmas, like a Christmas bubble. Okay. So I am with you. I feel you. I had a really hard time today waking up. It was rough. It was really rough. I had a hard time, but I said, nope, you set some goals. You promised yourself we're going to start waking up earlier so that we can achieve those goals. And I pushed myself to get out of bed earlier than I normally do, get completely ready for the day. And I did it. And I feel so much better. So I'm with you on the struggle bus. We're going to get there together. We're going to do this thing. And I have to tell you, so today, not only is it like back to work day, it's also back to school day. And I was really sad. Like I was really, really sad about kids going or Catalina going back to school. And I know I see so many memes of people that are just like, they can't wait to get the kids out of the house, go back to school. And I was actually really sad about it. I was like, I'm going to miss you today. I hope you have the best day. And I think that's because we had such a great Christmas break. Like it was really probably the best holiday break that I've had in a long time. I was just in a really good place mentally. I took off these last 2 weeks of the year. So normally, especially ever since I've become, fully self-employed, which is now going on, I think we're going to be hitting year 6. What? About to hit year 6 of full self-employment. That's wild to me. And I normally will work over the Christmas break so I can catch up on projects, wrap up loose ends. But what that does, and the money's great, like we all love to see the money when it rolls in, right? But what that does is it takes my brain and my mind away from my family and that thing that's really important to me, which is them, number one, and spending quality time with them. So I decided, nope, last day of school, I'm going to be taking off and I'll go back to work when she goes back to school. And it's been really, really nice. Like I have actually been sad for a few days thinking about going back. I've been excited to get back in the swing of things, like especially with podcasting, but as far as like my other work stuff and just being an adult and knowing that it's tax season, I'm just like, oh, I don't want to do this. I just want to stay in my house in this bubble of Christmas time and corny Hallmark movies and cookies and games and everything. So I'm going to just share with you guys like what I did over break because I'm just in a chit-chatty kind of mood today. And I feel like we need that because it's been a while since last month, since we last kind of, got together here. And so over break, I had been deciding this for a while. And when I tell you, I agonized over this decision. I agonized over the decision because I was guilting myself about the money behind it. I have, ever since I saw this a few years ago, and I'm pretty sure I found it on Instagram, where I saw the Gaylord Resorts do this full like Christmas thing. I don't see any other hotels that do something like this. So basically, they have all of these Christmas themed activities. They have this like insane exhibit with ice sculptures from every year. It's like a different Christmas movie, Christmas games, Christmas activities. The hotel itself is just, they're beautiful hotels. And they all have these amazing like atriums where it looks like you're outside. And then they're themed based on where that hotel is. So for me, because I'm in Virginia Beach, the closest Gaylord resort is in National Harbor, which is right across the river from Washington, D.C. So the theme, it's very like, I guess, colonial. There's like these colonial houses inside the atrium. And it's just, it's beautiful. And I have wanted to do that. And then I'll see people go there during the holidays. And I'm like, oh man, I really should have thought about doing that. Because now I feel like it's too late. And it's expensive. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, y'all. It's obnoxiously expensive. And, this is right at Christmas season. We've got things to buy, we have things to do. And I had on my list, on my intention list, my goal list for 2023, one of my goals, and it's a goal again for this year, is to take more adventures / vacations, even if they're like mini trips like this. And I had on my, just because I break it down by months of like the places I want to go. And then when we go and do things, I mark it off so I can remember, what we did that year. Because sometimes it feels like you didn't really do anything, or you're like, oh, the year went by so fast. We didn't do any cool things, or I didn't accomplish my goals. And when you're not tracking and looking at that, you can get really in the mindset that you didn't do anything cool. So I like to do that. So I had actually put on December, I put Christmas hotel with the kids. And, I started pricing it out and I'm like, oh my God. And so I decided, I really want to do this. I really, really want to do this. It's going to be a great way to kick off the vacation, Christmas break, Christmas vacation. The kids are going to love it. I'll go during the week. So it was just me and the kids while Frank is working. And when I started looking at it, so they have regular rooms and then they have the atrium view rooms. The atrium view is exactly what it means. There's a balcony that looks over the atrium of the hotel. So during the Christmas season, from your balcony, you can see the Christmas shows. They have this amazing like laser light show. There's this crazy like Christmas tree that's like suspended in the air. So, and you can see all the decor, and it's like elevates the whole experience. And I was like, no, I'm not spending the extra money. We're just going to get a regular room. And my husband's like, no, you should just, if you're going to do it, you go big. I'm like, you're so right. And that's what we did. And, I telling you, like, I agonized over pressing that button to pay. And I'm so happy that I did, because it was such an amazing, like, little mini getaway. So I left the last day of school. I went and picked up Kat with Javi. We had the car packed, all the bags were ready, and we hit the road. So we got up to Washington, D.C. area late afternoon, kind of around like dinner time-ish. Our room was ready. As I'm driving, I got the text that our room was ready. I'm like, yes. And so we get there and we check in, and the kids, like, first of all, the road trip, they were excited. They'll love a road trip. And as soon as they saw the hotel, they're just like screaming and excited, and they're like running in the door. And that moment is like, in that moment, she realized, this is amazing. And I'm so glad that I did this. And they have a Cirque du Soleil Christmas show out in the atrium. We did that. We were right in the front row. I'm telling you, it was amazing. And then the big to do that a lot of people go there for is their exhibit called ICE. So ICE is, I had watched the videos, I've seen the pictures. Nothing does it justice until you're there in person. I put a reel up on my Instagram at Irresistible Icing that shows like our little clips from our time there. And so this year the theme was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the movie. We all love that movie. And so I did that with the kids. They were just, I mean, it was amazing. And so then we went back, we did that, we had dinner, walked around, looked at things, did a little shopping, went back to the room. They got in their Christmas jammies. We watched the Christmas shows from the balcony. I surprised them with Christmas cookies that I had stashed away. I had also, and this was okay. So I told you it was gonna be chit-chatty today. So like a couple days before I booked the trip, I was at CVS, picking up an Amazon gift card or something for one of Frank's work things. And in the Christmas aisle, because you know I'm going to go look, there was a stuffed animal with a blanket, like a set that comes with a blanket and the animal. There was one Rudolph and one Clarice from Rudolph. And I was like, that's your sign. Book the trip. And I got one of each for the kids, surprised them with that. They were over the moon. And we just had the best little time. Like, I love travel. I love going places, especially seeing like experiences through their eyes. And then the next morning we woke up and they have a Build-A-Bear workshop. So we spent $500,000 on 2 Build-A-Bears. I mean, I'm being sarcastic, but Build-A-Bear, what is wrong with you? Like, what is wrong with you? So they built 2 reindeer that are from like this new little reindeer thing or whatever, which was so cute. I put everything on Instagram. I'm sure most of you that follow me there saw a lot of my stories. And we got our stuff together and we drove home. And this was the best way to like kick off Christmas break. Like, I know this is like a core, for me, it's a core memory. It will be a core memory for my kids. So much fun. And that's their tagline is so much Christmas. And it's so true because there's just Christmas everywhere. And it was great. So that was how we started the break. That's how we started. And then I finally was able to like, because even on the way there, like I'm sitting in the parking lot at school waiting to pick her up and I'm checking emails, I'm checking Slack messages, even though I told clients, look, as of the 20th, I'm out, you know, and it's so hard to transition from the go, you know, achiever mindset, wanting to get stuff out to people, accomplish things, to slowing down, enjoying life, quality time with your family. And so it took me a little time. And like, finally, when we got, it's like, once we got to the hotel and checked in and there, I was like, okay, this is great. And so once we got home, it was just such a great way to kick off the season. And so by now it is the 21st, I believe, 21st or 22nd. And this Christmas break was probably hands down like one of my favorite Christmas seasons so far. Like, I really got into I mean, I love Christmas. I decorate a lot and I really got into it this year. And I don't know, it was just, I don't even know how to put it in words and articulate how like cozy and homey and relaxing and how I actually wanted to be home. I know that probably sounds weird, but I'm really never been like a homebody type of person. Like, I'm always someone who wants to be out, you know, going out, especially in the young days, going to party, doing the New Year's Eve parties and all that. And I just really wanted to be home. And I think it's because Frank and I have made this our home. Like, we've been here, it'll be 4 years this summer that we've been here in this house. And we've, you know, done a lot of things to make this feel like home, where my other houses that I lived in, I never really felt like home, because they didn't feel, and I don't by any means think this house will be like the permanent end all be all, but especially with Christmas and how we decorated and how we just, everything, I don't know, it just felt like I was inside of a effing snow globe in a Hallmark movie, and I loved every minute of it. And that was the other thing I got into this year, watching cheesy Hallmark, Lifetime, Christmas movies. And my daughter's even like, Mom, like, why do you watch so many of these? Because I would be on my phone or looking at stuff on Instagram and they're just in the background at all time. We actually don't take our because I was like getting sad, like looking at the tree, and I have a couple trees. I'm telling you, I have a problem. And I'm like, I just don't want to take any of this down yet, which we don't anyway. We do not take our Christmas decor down until the first weekend of January because we celebrate Three Kings Day. And so to me, Christmas does not end on Christmas Day. And I was getting heated, y'all. I was so sick of like, as soon as you go to I was at the store on Christmas Eve and they already have freshly baked Valentine's. Who is buying that shit on Christmas Eve? Like, if you're one of those people, can you please explain to me why? I don't understand it. And so anyway, I was just sad. Like some of the neighbors taking I'm like, no, it's like, this is the first day of Christmas on the 25th. We have till the 6th, people. Anyway, I just really enjoyed it. And so it's been a hard transition for me to get back into business, work mom life, work at home mom life and all that. It's been a little bit of a transition and I didn't sleep. Like the last couple nights, I actually didn't sleep very well because I've been dreading it. Like I just want to stay in my snow globe for a little bit longer, but we can't, right? We can't continue to stay in our Christmas snow globes. Them snow globes got cracked and we need to pick up the pieces and we need to get back to real life and being adults and going after what we want to do. And so I'm just letting you know that I feel you. I feel you today if you are struggling to get back in the swing of things. So there's, I talked about that transition from you're on the go, doing life, the appointments, and then you go into Christmas break and it almost takes you a minute. Like I have to relearn how to relax. And it's insane. And then as we go back to work or back to our scheduled lives, you have to now transition again from that joyful relaxation to, oh my God, I got to get this email out today because the CPA needs stuff for my taxes. Oh my God, we got to make sure we pay this by this date or we're not going to have our health insurance. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like just all the adulting things that are gross that have to be done. And that's the payoff, right? Like my grandma used to always say to me, you have to take the good with the bad. And I truly believe that, right? Like we got the good of Christmas. I got the good of our little vacation getaway. And now we go back to real life so that we can make that coin, be able to afford to do this again next year and get our bills paid and be adults so that we can have that freedom. So here we are. And it is a transition. And I think the anxiety too that was coming up for me, I always tend to get this way, like right before Christmas Eve. I mean, New Year's Eve, not Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. So a little bit before New Year's Eve, I start to get, I think we all probably do this, like you get nostalgic, you start reflecting, and sometimes you start beating yourself up like, oh my God, I didn't do what I wanted to do this year. And, I feel all this pressure to have to hit the ground running on January 1 and have a clean slate and a new chapter and already know what I want and my goals and this and that. And I am here to put you at ease and give you permission that it is perfectly okay and it is perfectly normal to not hit the ground running today or yesterday being the first. You don't have to do things perfectly just because the calendar switched to a new year and a new month. And I think that's really important on this podcast to talk about because this is a podcast about weight and body image. And when you have been in toxic yo-yo diet culture, right? There's something embedded almost like in the fiber of you that you feel if I don't get this right on day 1 on January 1st, I'm a failure. Or you're going to beat yourself up and you're going to have the inner fat bitch dialogue that's coming in saying like, see, you didn't hit the ground running on the 1st. You're already effing up. You're not going to get your goals. You're not going to lose your weight. You're going to be in the same boat. and you get in that like toxic spiral, yo-yo diet, the yo-yo diet body hate shame cycle. It's like a toxic spiral. And I want you to hear from someone who lived the majority of their life in that spiral and no longer, well, I won't say I no longer do. I have moments and I have to work with myself and talk to myself and say, listen, it's okay to not hit the ground running. It's okay to still be figuring it out this week, next week, maybe even this month, right? And so I want you to hear that and know, you know, the whole just like new year, new me. It's like, bitch, like just because the calendar changed at midnight doesn't mean I'm like, I want to see who these new people are because y'all be doing it big, talking about I'm gonna be a new person, new year, new me. I've changed. Like that change can take years. It's years of becoming. When I think about myself and, you know, I started Irresistible You back in 2010, obviously not the podcast, but I started the Irresistible You. I started my program, creating my program, my blog, and all of those things. And that's when I started my journey of saying enough is enough. We are not going to continue this toxic, you know, diet spiral. You know, it's 2024. Do the math. It's been almost 14 years and I am still learning and I am still, you know, just because you start doing the personal development work and, you know, self-improvement doesn't mean that you never slide back. You're going to slide back. That's normal. But where it comes in, where the difference comes is you knowing how to stop the backslide before it goes too far. So think about it like, you know, that the lead up to Christmas, right? It's especially if you're a parent, it is busy. You have a lot of shopping to do. You have lists. Like when I came back in my office today, because I made a conscious effort to stay out of here other than to come in here and get wrapping paper and bags, like, because I keep them in here. I made a conscious effort to not come in this office, to not spend time in here over the break. And when I came back in here, my notebook was still on the table or the desk that had, you know, the menus and the shopping list for Christmas dinner. And so you're in that mode of like, I got to get this for because we hosted Christmas this year at our house, which I actually really like because it's a lot less stressful with the kids. They don't have to leave. They can stay home in their jammies, play with their toys all day. I love it. But, you know, there's a lot of, and I like hosting, but there's a lot of prepping and planning and shopping and, you know, getting the teachers' gifts, making sure you get this for that person and this for that. And, you know, and then, you know, wanting to make those memories for your kids and do the cookies and do the lights and do the activities. And then Christmas Eve, making sure you get them to bed. And for those of you that are parents, like, I know you're with me. Like it is nerve-wracking when you're doing the years of Santa because it's too much. You are tiptoeing around the house. Like, so let me just, I know I'm all over the place. I told you I was going to be chatty today. So on like the 23rd or something like that, I don't know when it was. It doesn't matter. I told Frank, I'm like, I have so much to do. I have to get that. He's like, what is there to do? And I'm like, well, excuse me. I'm like, you have no idea what it takes to make magic. How do you think all this happens? And he's like, I told him the list. He's like, listen, I'm going to take the kids out the house. We'll go to your mom's. We're going to pick up the ham and then we'll come home, get everything done that you need to do. You can watch your corny movies while you do it. He knows me well. And I did. I watched like a corny murder Lifetime movie. Love that they're all on YouTube. So I did all of the wrapping of the presents and I put them, because normally what I do is we wrap them and they go up here in the office in the closets. And so instead, I wrapped everything, put it out in the garage because there's so many effing Amazon boxes that I could just throw everything in the boxes, covered it with a blanket. And the kids are still young enough to where they're not going to nosy around yet. That's coming. And I dread that. So that way on Christmas Eve, I could just open the garage door, go into the living room and dump the stuff off at the tree. But it's nerve-wracking. Like, put the kids to bed. I'm not worried about Javi because he's not going to really get out it. He still sleeps in a crib. He's not going to really get out, which okay, yeah, he got out the other day. So we're in that phase. And I love that for me. And we've got the presents out. We have got the plate with the cookies and the reindeer food and the carrots, and we're about to start like nibbling on cookies to do the whole thing. All of a sudden I hear feet running across because she was in my room. I heard feet running across my floor going to the bathroom. Boy, Frank and I looked at each other at the same time. We're like, oh my God. And so he's like, turn the lights, like flipped all the lights off. Like, I can't. I really can't. I go flying up the stairs, acting like, I'm just coming to bed and all that. And so he finished everything up that was still there, made sure it was all good. But like that build up, where I was going with that, my long-winded tangents that I'm on today, that build up, the prepping, and you're starting to prep and, Thanksgiving, early December time, right? But all of that preparation, checking off the list, making sure your lists are right, checking them twice, getting the food ready, doing the Santa thing, which is, and then you're so excited to see your kids' faces on Christmas Day and they're opening stuff and you're trying to make sure you're capturing all the right pictures and videos because, our generation has to have 100,000 memories of every event. And then you're prepping the food for Christmas Day for people coming over. And then once everybody comes over, we eat, we have fun, and everybody goes home, it's like, oh my God. Like, this is where I'm going with this, is that transition is now you're on the 26th through the 31st. And there's this, for me, at least the 26th or like the 28th, I did nothing. I wasn't feeling well. I think that just all the excitement of Christmas and that buildup, final, and the work, like all the work this year that I've been doing, everything finally came to a screeching halt because now I could breathe. I could relax. I could finally like, okay, no one is expecting anything of me work-wise. No one is expecting anything from me, holiday-wise right now. And my body just like nosedived. I was already getting sick. Like I still have a little bit of a sore throat, but I think it's like once you slow down, it just hits you how hard you've been going, right? So you take that time, if you're, lucky enough to be able to have some time off, you take that time off. And during that time, it was like playing games with the kids and watching the corny movies. And we drove around and looked at lights and just, taking life easy. And then around the 29th, 30th, it starts like bubbling up, that anxiety of like, oh my God, here we go. The New Year's coming. You had certain goals that you didn't achieve this year. You're a loser. You're a failure. Like that self-talk, you have to stop it. You have to redirect it and you have to stop it. And, give yourself some grace that you don't go from the go of Christmas, the like vortex week in between, and then expect to hit the ground running on the second. You can't put that much pressure on yourself. That's a lot of pressure. And it's, and who, like, where is it coming from? I know that it's a society puts that into us and we have this belief, especially when you're a chronic yo-yo dieter, you think you have to hit the ground running doing it perfectly. You're not going to go from, chipping and dipping Rotel dip and Lindt chocolate balls, I'm looking at myself, to like, oh my God, I can't wait to eat egg beaters and salads. Like there's a transition that has to happen so that you can ease back into achieving those goals. And so I just want you to know that I hear you and I see you, and I want to validate those feelings, that it is perfectly normal to feel guilt and shame that you're not running out the gate today. You may not even have goals yet. That's okay. It's okay. Like, don't beat yourself up when you reflect back on last year. And so that's what I want to transition to now, is just kind of talking about getting into the new year and how to set yourself up for success in life. give yourself some grace this first week. And, I'm moving to Europe because I don't know how it is in Europe, if you guys are closed or open or how it works, but this is still a Christmas week. Like if you celebrate Christmas, 12 days of Christmas, Epiphany, Three Kings Day, this is technically still Christmas. And I am excited to see some of the school systems here are going to be starting on the second week of January coming soon. I love that. Because that's really, to me, the 8th, I think, which is the Monday, the next Monday, that's really when the month is like, okay, let's really get back into things. So this first week, it's a transition week. It's a transition week for you to, knock the dust off your desk, knock the dust off your schedules, get back into things, do a little reflection, do a little planning, and have a guide. Like, so Frank and I decided this year we were going to be more like aligned with each other in terms of having like meetings, right? Like we talk a lot, like our communication is very good, but what I'm talking about is like looking at our life, our finances, our business, our family, and like having these check-in meetings. What are our goals this month? What do we want to save? What do we want to pay? What do we want to do? How, like making sure that we're having that constant check-in, because it gets so easy to just, get in the gist of life. And so we did that yesterday and it was really, really good. And we have some goals on there, and we're going to, because I told him, I said, if we don't walk away from this with tangible goals, I know for me, what will happen, it's going to now be Valentine's Day. And I'm going to be like, where did the time go? Right. So, reflect on your past year, but don't let it bring you down. Right. Like I looked at my goals last year, and two of my big goals that I can share with you all is to get to Wonderland and to pay off all of our debt. And I did not achieve either one of those things. And that made me feel very bad. And, feeling bad about it for time that's already gone by, there's nothing we can do to fix that. What you do is you say, okay, I had this goal. Why didn't I achieve it? What was standing in my way? And so for me, surprise, surprise, what's standing in my way is Amy. I am standing in my own way of achieving my goals. I feel like I lost myself a little bit in the last few years. And as a lot of the ride or dies know, like there was a few years of like pure survival mode with things that were going on. But through all of it and just getting a little bit older, like I think I lost myself a little bit, and I have to remember to put myself first. And that, one of my other goals too was I had certain metrics and things to grow with the podcast, and I didn't achieve that. And I'm not beating myself up. Why? Number one, for all of those goals that I just mentioned to you, I was inconsistent. So you need to get real with yourself. And instead of sitting around going, oh my God, I'm a failure, I'm a loser, I didn't lose the weight, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, but did you put in the reps? But did you put in the work? And if I'm asking that to myself, it's like, no, bitch, like you were inconsistent, and that's a problem. And so here's where it changes, right? Like saying that you're inconsistent is a fact, right? It's not beating myself up. It's a fact. I'm inconsistent, period. That's the sentence, right? And inconsistencies will never let you achieve your goals. And so then you look at the facts and the data and say, why was I inconsistent? Honestly, I don't know. Laziness, just at my limit with, emotionally, mentally, physically, like, I don't know. And so the only thing you can do is to make changes going forward. So one of my goals is to be consistent. I can't lose the weight. I can't blow up the podcast. I can't pay down all of our debt until I am doing certain actions underneath those goals consistently. So that's one of my words for 2024 is consistency. Consistency is the key to success, especially weight loss, So, again, remember, you don't go from, miss inconsistent to now you're this consistent, just going hard, getting it done because the calendar flipped. Remember that it takes time to become who you are. It's taken 14 years of self-development to get to where I am now. And I'm grateful for that. There's a lot of things about myself that changed so much in a good way. And so remember, you don't need to hit the ground running today or this week. Take the pressure of yourself off and instead of saying yes, I have overarching goals for the year, right? But in January, what does it look like, right? At the end of January, I want to bam, bam, bam. And so I'm not going to give myself metrics on the podcast like, oh, by the end of January, I want to have this many downloads or this many new email subscribers or whatever. It's more about what I set for myself for January is like, I'm going to be consistent. I am going to publish an episode blank times a week. And yes, there will be more than one episode coming per week. So if I get to the end of January and I consistently publish an episode every single week, I achieve the goal. And that in and of itself is feeding up to the overarching goal, which is to blow up my podcast. And I have certain numbers and things like that, which I don't really feel like sharing. So let's go to weight loss, right? Like, don't just say, I want to lose 10 pounds in January, right? I want to consistently show up for myself by walking every day. I want to consistently drink 100 ounces of water every single day. And then you can be proud of the actions that you took. Because if you just tell yourself, I want to lose 10 pounds, like, here's what's going to happen. You're going to start hard. You're going to try to do it perfectly the first couple days, maybe the first week of January. And somewhere around the middle of the month, as we really get rolling into real life again, and the snow globe is gone. We have shattered the snow globe. We are out back in real life. You're going to fall off the wagon. You're going to overeat. And then you're going to say, F it. Who cares? I can't do this. And then at the end of the month, you're going to go, oh, I didn't meet my goals. I'm such a fat ass. What's wrong with me? Because you were inconsistent. Okay. So instead of just saying, I want to lose 10 pounds, what are the actions? I'm going to only order out once a week, because I know if I am doing the walking, I'm drinking the water, I'm ordering out less, I'm cooking more at home, the weight loss is going to be a byproduct of all of those actions. And that's how you have to look at things. And the other thing to this, the other thing I want to say, you will not achieve your goals when you take your eye off the ball. So you know what I'm talking about. You've been eating your Rotel dip. You've been, getting it in with the Christmas food for the last couple weeks. And then today you're afraid to get on the scale. I am not afraid to get on the scale. That is one of the big things that I have accomplished over the years is I will get on the damn scale and find out what's going on, because the scale is data. The scale is information. What happens is when you on the first or the second say, no, I'm not going to get on the scale because I know I gained weight. I can feel it. I'm bloated. I feel heavier. I'm going to wait till next week. Well, you probably aren't going to be doing the actions that you need to be doing to get that weight off. Whereas if you get on the scale and you face the music, you can say, okay, I went up 3 pounds, 4 pounds, whatever it is. And now I get to make a decision about what I'm going to do. You have to keep your eye on the ball. Once you start taking your eye off the ball is when everything goes to shit. You ever been at the store and you go to swipe your card and it's like, sorry, that card's declined. And you're like, what the I just got paid. And then you go and look at your account and you're like, oh, yeah, I guess I was the one that spent all that money. Like we've all been there, right? We've had that moment. It's because you decided to not look. You decided to take your eye off the ball and not look at the numbers and log in every single day and figure out your balances, right? It's the same thing with weight. So we have to keep our eye on the ball and we have to stay consistent in doing that. And I want you, as you start to reflect, have that conversation with yourself, not to beat yourself up, but just like I had it with myself last night where I'm like, you are not consistent. You need to wake your ass up 2 hours earlier than you are currently waking up to achieve the dream that you have. You will not get this dream or this goal until you wake your ass up in the morning and get it done. Period. Like, just the way it is. So be real with yourself, like, and know where your weaknesses are that you need to tweak and you need to work on. And that's going to get you to where you want to go, and get out of this bullshit diet, toxic, I got to hit the gym today. I got to like clean out all my cabinets. I got to do this. I got to do that. Like, no, like we are not toxic, desperate dieting anymore. Like we are not doing that. And, you've got to also, I told you, like Frank and I having check-in meetings. I have check-in meetings with myself. I'm going to get back into the habit of doing morning magic where I have like a list of tabs on my internet browser that I open up in the morning to check certain things to have. And that's, again, keeping my eye on the ball and making sure I'm checking in on things, doing my prayer and meditation, setting intentions in the morning, and doing all of this before the rest of the house is awake. And it becomes a circus and chaos. So I'm getting back in the habit of having that morning magic time, those check-ins. Do what works for you. Do what works for you. But you've got to do it by yourself. You've got to do it where it's quiet. You've got to do it where you can reflect a little bit. And I keep a running document with my goals, the like the actions underneath that we talked about to reach those goals. And then every single week, what are my business goals, my personal, what has to get done this week, and what do I need to look into? Like, for example, like some of the business stuff, right? Like there's a certain tool or whatever I need to research this week. So that goes under the research column. And things that you want to do, you got to put those in there too. So maybe I could share that in a future episode, like how to do that. If you're interested, let me know. And I can share with you kind of my process and how that works. And the goal is, again, that sheet that I just talked about, I have to open it every morning. It has to be top of mind. If you've ever heard from really successful people in the mornings, they all do one thing that's kind of the same across the board, and they write their goals down every single day. They continue to write them down every single day because it continues to put it into your mind who you want to become. You have this gap of who you are, who you want to become, and this space in the middle that doesn't jive, right? Like this space in the middle of like, I wish I was doing those things. In my brain, I think I'm doing those things, but I'm actually not. So when you get to that point where you start beating yourself up, it's like, no, let's get real, right? I could call myself a loser, this and that. And that was like, the reality is you're just inconsistent. If you get consistent, you're unstoppable. Like on fire. Like I know that about myself. And so I have a little bit of personal development work to do where I'm going to dig deeper about why are you so inconsistent lately? Like what is really going on so that we can stop and change the behavior so that you can allow yourself to be consistent. Because it's not just willpower and like, oh, I'm going to just buckle down and make myself get up and make myself just, yeah, there's a little bit of that, right? But it's also like, let's also find the root of like, what's causing this to happen for me? And I think I know what it is. It's just having too much on my plate, right? So that's not going to change, but what can change is go to bed earlier, get your ass up in the morning, and it's go time. So yeah, happy new year. Happy new year. I hope that this year is irresistible for you. I hope it brings you all of the good health and wealth and happiness that you deserve, and that you get to a healthy place with yourself emotionally, that you can Become the version of yourself that you crave, because you deserve to be her. All right. As far as this year and staying connected, I'm like really going through the process of like revamping my social strategies and all of that, like for social media. I still don't know what we're doing with the Facebook discussion group. I'm going to just table that for now. It's dormant. I don't know if I'm going to be bringing that back. I don't know if that's valuable to people. And quite frankly, when I was really posting and trying to put stuff in there, those of you that are in there, I love you, but you're not interacting. So it's not worth my time to continue to do something where people aren't getting any value out of it. Where I do a lot more conversations, and I talk to a lot of you over there as well, is on Instagram. And that's really going to be the hub of my social media connection. So if you want to stay connected between episodes, find out when new episodes are dropping, get behind the scenes of the podcast, and also get a little sneak peek into my life as a human, you can follow me on Instagram at Irresistible Icing. And that's going to be the number one way to stay connected. You can shoot me a DM over there. We can interact there. Again, Facebook, I don't know what's going to go on with that. And this episode and all of my episodes will be in video format for 2024. We did a little bit of that for 2023. And in 2024, it's non-negotiable. All the podcasts are becoming videos over on YouTube. You can follow over there. Some people prefer to just listen while they're driving, while they're, multitasking. Other people like to put on a video while they're also multitasking because they want to see the person. So if you're a visual person and you want to see all my craziness and all of my hands moving around, you can come over on YouTube and follow me there. All of the links are in the show notes of this episode. That was a mouthful. And lastly, if you want to help support the podcast, you can do that. There's different ways to do that. The number one way to do that is to leave a rating and review on the podcast player of your choice. According to my stats, the majority of you are listening through Apple Podcast. So that is a great place to leave a review. And there's not much else to say about this, but I am looking forward to this year. I'm looking forward to what we can grow together, to see how much you guys are able to do. And on that note, am going to catch you in the next episode. Until then, stay irresistible. Bye, guys.